Blueface just got out of jail, and within weeks, he publicly dumped Hazel E in the most disrespectful way possible. But what Hazel said back, it flipped the entire internet upside down. This drama gets way crazier than you think, so watch this till the end. Blueface has been back on the streets for about a month, and since his release, he's been trying to reconnect with a few women from his past. First, he attempted to mend things with Crazy and Rock, but that reunion fell apart almost immediately. He then tried working things out with the mother of one of his children, and that didn't go anywhere either. So, seemingly out of nowhere, he popped up publicly with Hazel E. Most people know Hazel E from Love and Hip Hop and her past marriage to Devin Waller, not to mention her long history of appearances on various reality shows. She's been around the entertainment scene for years, even linked to Cat Williams at one point. Now in her 40s, Hazel found herself suddenly connected with Blueface, which naturally stirred up talk online, especially because many predicted the situation would end poorly. And, exactly as expected, Blueface announced that he was removing Hazel from the roster, calling her too old to be acting the way he felt she was acting. He insisted the relationship was finished, claimed he preferred younger women, and said Hazel cared too much about public opinion for his liking. According to him, they had known each other barely 3 weeks, and she had no place or standing in his life. Hazel, of course, wasn't going to let that slide. She fired back, questioning how he could say he was done with her when he'd been behaving disrespectfully himself, kissing women she described as trailer park trash, while expecting her loyalty. She reminded him that if he wanted to talk about being too old, she could just as easily mention his criminal record. Hazel said she had lowered herself to support him, and she had the receipts, the flights he purchased, the money he sent, even the $5,000 he wired recently telling her to stay down while she tolerated his chaos. And even that, she said, wasn't nearly enough. She also criticized the environment around him, a crowd of OnlyFans performers and dancers hustling in questionable spaces, something even his own mother allegedly referred to as a homeless shelter. By contrast, Hazel claimed she elevated his image and only asked for simple mutual respect. But according to her, the moment his ego inflated, his old habits returned. Hazel went on to explain that just the previous week, during a probation check, he'd nearly been taken back into custody for possessing things he wasn't supposed to have. She might not have been there during his time in jail, but she made sure he didn't get locked up again that Monday. So, as she put it, the disrespect she'd received over the past couple days was entirely unearned. She admitted he didn't know her well, they hadn't been intimate, even though he flew her out, but none of that gave him the right to dismiss her. If he was done, she was done too. She didn't need him, and she reminded him that she was self-made long before he entered the picture. He was the one who asked her to appear in his music video, the same one that went viral and hit #1, and she wondered if it would have performed the same had he filled it with the people he usually kept around. And if that weren't enough, she even mentioned the dog, saying it might have been cute, but she was the one who approved it. She said that while major outlets like TMZ were running stories about him, he was surrounding himself with people who acted like strays, and the next call he should be making might just need to be to animal control. She tells him he needs to round up the women he's been hanging around with and take them back to the pound, because in her mind, she's the real prize, the golden retriever, as she puts it. In other words, she's reminding him that he's playing with a big dog, not someone on the level of the people he entertains. While he's out here calling her old, she's countering by saying she actually lowered her standards to deal with him. She reminds him that he was spending money on her, flying her out, and still didn't get what he wanted from the arrangement. Meanwhile, he's accusing her of being obsessed with social media, while she calls him a pookie, a man she believes operates far beneath the level she once expected of herself. But the bigger question becomes, if he's so beneath her, why get involved with him at all? Hazel insists he's a bum, that he's dealing with trailer trash, that he's not anywhere near her level, but she still chose to engage with him. And that's the part that exposes the true dynamic. She was interested in the clout he could offer. That's the only way he even gained access to her world. Now that he's dismissing her, she's firing back, But the root issue is the same pattern seen with many women who reach their mid-40s still relying on visibility instead of long-term stability in the entertainment industry. When your entire relevance depends on clout, posing online, cosmetic enhancements, single-parent grind, high heels, and glam, eventually you attract men who only want surface-level interactions. Yes, she still looks good, but even beauty doesn't stop the inevitable. When someone younger appears, these men trade you in without hesitation. That's what just happened here. She lasted a week or two and could have still gotten clapped. Sure, but being desirable for hookups and being respected are two entirely different things. The industry doesn't take her seriously anymore, not because she looks bad, but because her behavior is stuck in her 20s while the rest of her life has aged forward. You can see the same pattern in others, Delicious, who shows up with a new BBL seemingly every weekend, yet still looks desperate for relevance. When your brand is based on appearance alone, the market stops valuing you. People move on. They stop offering real opportunities or real money. They stop taking you seriously. Hazel has a large following, yes, but there's no steady work, no strong partnerships, nothing that signals long-term value. So she ends up with men like Blueface, men she once would have never considered 20 years ago when she was dating people on the level of Cat Williams. At 45, when a person is messy, unfocused, and lacking solid footing, the market shows it immediately. Now the only options are pookies who see an opportunity for chaos and entertainment. And we see this repeatedly with other women trying to relive a city girl phase without the resources to back it up. Keisha Cole, Amber Rose, Delicious, and others who chase younger men for excitement, but lack the financial stability or professional momentum that would have protected them years ago. Even if Hazel is correct about Blueface's faults, the moment she publicly responds by attacking his flaws, she only exposes her own. The situation makes her look unprepared, reactive, and unaware of her own role in how she ended up here. It's the same lack of accountability that showed up in April Jones' interview with Carlos King, where instead of acknowledging why Amarian truly left, she blamed everyone around him but herself. She tried to frame him as the villain the entire time, insisting he was the source of all the drama, even though he never addressed her publicly. Her attempts to get revenge and paint herself as the victim were deliberate, but ultimately ineffective. Everything collapsed when Amarian and Lil Fizz settled their issues. Once that happened, her storyline fell apart, and now she's out here raising kids alone, looking lost, and struggling to attract anyone who wants a real, long-term relationship. That's where April Jones ended up, thinking that her attitude was still marketable when it clearly wasn't.
To be acting this young, we're done. Dead on it. We're done. I'd rather be with a young. You feel me? Dead on it. If any more patience than you at 45.
You can project an image of wealth, luxury, and status for as long as you want, but eventually the illusion weakens, especially when you're approaching 50 and still depending on cosmetic shortcuts, BBLs, thigh tattoos, and Instagram filters to maintain the same social currency you had 20 years ago. At a certain point, the glow doesn't glow the same. The online attention doesn't convert into real stability. And the men who once chased the aesthetic, the fantasy, begin to signal something very loud and very honest. We're not interested in this version of you anymore. That's the part many people fail to understand. Aging itself is not the issue. Being in your 40s or 50s is not the problem. There are countless women who age gracefully and are still highly desired, respected, and pursued. The issue is when someone reaches this stage of life while clinging to the same behavioral patterns, mentality, and social tricks they used at 22 or 25. When the exterior is trying to present forever young, but the inside never matured, the market responds accordingly. The disconnect becomes obvious. And so, when a woman in her mid-40s is primarily dating men almost 20 years younger, men like Blueface, who is only 28, it doesn't read as a flex. It doesn't look like empowerment. It doesn't look like a woman with options. On the contrary, it acts as a silent indicator that men her own age, the men who understand life, responsibility, maturity, stability, have decided not to deal with her anymore. And once men in your own generation, the men who can relate to you, see themselves in you, and remember when your name once held weight, once they walk away, that's when the truth becomes unavoidable.
Why?
Because they've watched your behavior for years. They've seen the interviews, the arguments, the reality TV antics, the social media meltdowns, the desperate need for attention, the instability, the chaos. They remember the promising version of you. They remember the opportunities you had. And they also saw how each opportunity was squandered, not by age, but by decision-making, attitude, and an unwillingness to evolve. Now, to be absolutely fair, there are women who are the same age as Hazel E who can date men their age or younger without issue. Age isn't the barrier.
Character is.
Look at someone like Jennifer Lopez. Say what you want about her love life, but Jade Lowe brings something to the table, something tangible. She brings influence, financial stability, connections, brand power, real-world demand, career accomplishments, and a reputation that still holds weight decades later. Whether people love her or dislike her, Jade Lowe has sustained relevance in music, film, business, and fashion. She commands attention, not because she demands it online, but because she has built an undeniable legacy. But when we talk about Hazel E, the situation is very different. She doesn't bring established value, new opportunities, or long-term prospects into a man's life. What men see, especially those with actual status or resources, is a whirlwind of drama with very little return on investment. They see someone who is still operating as though she's on a VH1 cast list from 2012, still using shock value as a personality trait, still trying to manufacture clout instead of cultivating real stability. And men with options, men who have money, status, or even just emotional intelligence, don't entertain chaos for long. They don't need to. When a woman becomes more of a burden than a benefit, they simply move on. No debate, no negotiation, no drama. That's why Blueface, despite his own well-known flaws, was able to let her go so effortlessly. It required no emotional labor, no guilt, no hesitation. He replaced her with the same ease someone replaces a pair of sneakers they never liked in the first place. And that ease, that simple, dismissive ease, is probably the part that stings Hazel E the most. Because she knows what it feels like to date men who once treated her like she mattered. She remembers being with Cat Williams, a successful comedian with real industry pull. She remembers being the woman people wanted to be around, the one who could open doors or at least stand beside someone who could. And now, years later, she's dealing with someone who dropped her without blinking, without thinking, without any sign that she ever held value to him beyond a momentary convenience. That's the cycle so many people fall into when they get older, but never develop beyond the lifestyle they lived in their 20s. They keep chasing relevance instead of reality. They keep prioritizing public validation over private stability. They want the hype, but not the growth. And eventually, the world responds by offering them only what they've earned. Men who aren't serious, relationships that aren't stable, and opportunities that are temporary at best. This is not about tearing her down. This is about acknowledging how patterns shape outcomes. The entertainment industry is cruel, yes, but it is also brutally honest. It tells you exactly where you stand, whether you want to hear it or not. And right now, Hazel E's position in the industry is determined not by her age, but by her choices throughout her career. She hasn't built a brand people respect. She hasn't grown beyond the drama. She hasn't invested in anything that commands long-term value. And so the market, the social market, the dating market, the professional market responds accordingly. Male peers her age see nothing worth investing in. Younger men see an opportunity to exploit the situation, gain attention, or simply enjoy a temporary fling. That's why dating someone like Blueface at 45 isn't a win. It's evidence that she has fallen out of alignment with men who should be her natural dating pool. Instead of men who are stable, accomplished, or mature, she's attracting men who are chaotic, emotionally immature, and often financially unstable. And when she tries to fire back at Blueface publicly, listing his flaws, exposing his behavior, calling out his lifestyle, it doesn't elevate her. It only highlights her own lack of awareness. Because no matter how valid her criticisms might be, she still chose him. She still entertained him. She still invested her time, her energy, and her reputation into someone she now claims is beneath her. And when you publicly try to tear down someone you once endorsed, it only reinforces the idea that your standards were never as high as you pretended they were. This is the reality of clout-based dating, especially for women who have aged past the entertainment peak and never transitioned into something more stable. When the attention fades, when the brand declines, when the offers stop coming, the only men left are the ones who don't take you seriously. And when those men leave too, when even the pookies and the troubled 28-year-olds start replacing you without hesitation, that's when the truth hits the hardest. It wasn't the age that pushed people away. It was the behavior, the attitude, the unresolved patterns, the lack of growth. Hazel E's situation is not unique. It's part of a wider pattern among reality TV alumni and social media personalities who relied solely on appearance and drama without building anything deeper. Eventually, the industry moves on without them. The audience moves on. The dating pool shifts. And what's left is a hard, uncomfortable truth. If the only thing you brought to the table was chaos and aesthetics, the world will eventually stop pulling up a seat for you.
And trailer park trash all in the lips, taking it, eating, sucking crap together. I'm too old. You're a convicted felon. Let's start there. I went below to you. We can put out the receipts. You bought me flights before. You've given me money before. You just sent me 5 bands the other day telling me to stay down so I can put up with your. That's not enough. It's really not enough, honey. I'm done. You'd rather have a young. Yeah, look at what you got. You got a bunch of OF girls stripping, in, back alleys and shit. Your mama called it a homeless shelter. I make you look better. And all I asked was for mutual respect, which I thought we agreed upon. But your old ways are creeping back in because you're feeling yourself.
But that's the outcome when you don't have much to offer beyond drama. When your entire public identity revolves around conflict, attention-seeking behavior, and clinging to moments that used to make you relevant, eventually the spotlight turns off. People get tired. Men with real stability get tired. Even the younger men who initially find the chaos entertaining eventually realize it comes with too much baggage and not enough benefit. That's why patterns like this repeat themselves. You burn through opportunities, relationships, and public sympathy until there's nothing left but a reputation that works against you. And to be clear, it doesn't mean her life is over. She'll eventually move on, find a new situation, or reinvent herself the way many public figures try to do when their image starts collapsing. But moving on doesn't erase the fact that the pattern is there and has been there for years. When the same types of relationships crash, when the same arguments happen, when the same public embarrassments repeat, at some point, it's no longer bad luck. It becomes a reflection of who you are, what you attract, and what you bring to the table. People can grow, but growth only happens when someone acknowledges the problem instead of blaming every ex, every friend, every blog, and every critic. If she ever wants something stable, whether that's a partner, a career opportunity, or even a healthier reputation, she has to understand that the chaos she creates is the same chaos that keeps pushing people away. Until then, she'll keep experiencing these cycle-type breakups that end the same way, loud, messy, and predictable. And with that, what do you all think? As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments. It's your boy, back again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you don't miss anything, and I'll see you on the next one.